guys, Eric here with driverlineup.com, and today I'm going to be doing a quick review for you guys on Prime Inc.'s load choice for lease operators. Before I do that, I want to make sure I invite you to join us at driverlineup.com. If you used to be a Prime driver, you are currently a Prime driver, if you're a prospective Prime driver, or you just want to come hang out with a few Prime drivers, it is a full social community that we've built for Prime drivers to come hang out, share ideas, share tips, information. It's free to join. Get your own profile. You can instant message, share stuff. It's a great platform. It has a mobile app that's free. So head on over to driverlineup.com. If you have questions on this, you can hit me up there, and I'll be sure to answer them as best as I can. Also, if you guys are thinking about driving for Prime, now is the time. Freight is booming. It's October 2nd, and freight is just, right now is the best that it's been. And I've been at Prime for almost 2 years, and right now is the best that it's ever been. And they're hiring like crazy. They put out a video on their YouTube channel today talking about expanding capacity by 3 to 4%. That's a big time hiring spree. So now is the time. If you find any of my videos useful, feel free to use my driver code when you sign up to join Prime or come to the training program. It is ODOM as in Mary, EJ. It's ODOMEJ. I'll put that in the description below, and also you can text message my cell phone. I'll put that number in the description below as well. Please note, I don't ever answer my phone, so you got to send me a text message. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Anyway, load choice. So I've been on load choice for about 3 months. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and I know there's gonna be questions of how do I get on load choice. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute, but it was not easy. There is, I believe, 15 to 20% of lease operators on load choice, and if you're not already in that, it's pretty difficult. You could be in line, but that line doesn't move unless other drivers leave, as far as I understand. So anyway, load choice has been really incredible. It has changed the way we run the truck. We were put on it, I believe, just because of probably some frustration between us and sales. For those who don't know, just to give you a basic overview, load choice is for lease drivers, and it gives lease drivers the ability to have up to 6 options to choose for a load before getting pre-planned. Well, sometimes you'll get pre-planned first, but before they start trying to send you on a load, usually you can have up to 6 options on load choice. So it's sort of like a mini load board. It's not really a load board in that you can't just go on to, an app and just see all the loads available in your area. But it is a mini load board in that you have options. It kind of frees you up to be able to plan a little better, take some of the mystery out of it all, and allows you to run your truck the way you want. And now, I'm not speaking from fact here. I don't know the inner workings of Prime. Just from my experience, I believe what happened at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020 is that a lot of the dispatching of trucks was moved off of the responsibility of fleet managers and on to the responsibility of sales, the sales department of Prime. I think sales always had a hand in it, but it's my belief that the bulk of that operation of dispatching loads was moved to sales. And I understand why Prime did it, if that's what they did, because they had to really figure out how to better spread trucks out across the entire freight network, make sure the capacity was available across the country in order to meet the customer demand. I get it. The challenge for a lot of drivers is that we have relationships with our fleet managers. I love my fleet manager. I have a great fleet manager. I would never want to switch. My fleet manager is Chris Martin, and he is amazing. If you want to make good money, you get on Chris Martin's fleet. He's a good fleet manager. He's been my fleet manager since training, since TNT, and I never want to go to any other fleet. He's been with Prime, I think 13 or 14 years, maybe 15 years. So he knows what's going on. There's nothing new to him, and he's a great fleet manager, but he's not really a dispatcher. The difference in last year and this year is last year he would look at loads, or at least that's my impression, and he could say, you know, I can get you a load going here, or I can take a look and see what's available here. Now it's let me ask sales, let me check with sales, let me see what sales says. And you know, I have a relationship with Chris. He knows the way I like to run. He knows the way that my truck likes to run. He knows my needs. He knows sometimes I can't sleep very well when that truck's moving. Sometimes I sleep just fine. Sometimes we run really hard for a few days. Sometimes we want to run really slow for a few days. He knows that. He knows us. He only has, well, I say only, it's a big group of trucks, but he has 90 trucks he has to manage. Well, that's a lot of trucks. But it's manageable for him. So he kind of knows his drivers. The sales department can't know 7,000 or 8,000 trucks. They don't know what I'm going through. They don't know my personality. They don't know how we run our truck. They don't know our challenges and our difficulties. So when all that dispatch moved to sales, I think it solved a lot of problems for Prime, but I think it also created some problems for the drivers, because there's no longer that personal connection when dispatching loads or pre-planning loads, etc. So for us, we went through this really difficult time. My first year with Prime, when it was the old way, or at least what I perceived to be the old way, I never once rejected a load, not once ever. I felt like Chris was really in tune with me, and we were on the same page, and he kept me busy, and he kept me busy on loads that I could handle and weren't overwhelming me and weren't running me ragged. And then once the system seemed to change, well, I started rejecting 2, maybe 3 loads a month. And there was just a disconnect there. And it became obvious to me that Chris was kind of the middleman. Sales would propose something, Chris would send it on to us and say, what do you think of this one? And that's, you know, it's the same thing, same problem. So he'd go back to sales, and sales would be frustrated with him. And, you know, it just kind of, it wasn't a very good system for us. So I kept, you know, hey, get us load choice, get us load choice. This wouldn't have to be a problem. And finally, 3 months ago, there was a day where sales was literally proposing pretty much the same scenario over and over again. And I just kept saying, dude, I haven't slept for a day. You know, I need some time to get to this load. And sales would come back with almost the same scenario, one that just was going to be really, really tough to run. And again, I'm not knocking sales. Don't take that the wrong way. It's just that they don't know my situation. I don't talk to sales. They don't talk to me. They just look at what loads have to go, what customers have to be serviced, and hey, I've got a truck there, let's go. And you know, I'm a business. I'm not an employee of Prime. I am an LLC. I'm a business. I have to run my business the way that I need to run my business, both financially and personally and psychologically. So finally they put us on load choice, and it changed everything. I mean, everything. Now I can run as hard as I want for 3 or 4 days, and I can run really nice and light for 2 days. You know, make sure that I can get groceries, showers, get some rest, and then go run hard for another 3 or 4 days. As I've told you guys on my channel before, we don't really run our truck very hard. We're a team truck. We don't do 6,000 or 7,000 miles a week. We will, and we just did a few weeks ago, did a 7,000 mile week. But we don't like to. We don't need to. I don't have a student or someone that I pay external of family. All the money stays on the truck. So, you know, we don't want to run that hard. We have lives. We have things that we want to do that don't include driving. So we like to be at 4,500 or 5,000 miles a week. We're happy with that. That's right where we want to be. And everybody has different needs. Some trucks want to run 6,000 or 7,000 miles a week if they're a team truck, or some solo drivers want to run 3,000 miles a week. When I was solo, I ran 2,300 miles a week. And I still made good money, and I still do make good money. So load choice has really changed that. And basically the way it works is you have your PTA, which is your projected time of availability. Let's say your PTA is at 2 p.m. You have a drop and hook at a 90 at 1 p.m. So at noon, 2 hours before your PTA, you can request the first 3 loads. So 2 hours before your PTA is up, there's a new button that shows up in your Prime app. You request those first 3 loads. You look at them. Now you don't want to be too quick, because you definitely want to look at the details of each of them, but at the same time, other drivers are seeing those loads too. So you can lose one if you screw around for too long. If you accept one of those, you're good to go. Everything else goes away. If you reject all 3 of them, and you have to give a reason, and there's a drop-down menu for those, then 10 minutes later, you can go and request 3 more loads. If you reject all 3 of those, then you got to get with dispatch and go through the normal protocols for getting a load. It's worked out really well for us. And you know, I think you can really get burned by it. I know some drivers that got burned because they just, as soon as they got load choice, they just took the highest rate every single time. But they weren't paying attention on where that sent them, so then they'd get somewhere and have to sit for a day or 2. So you don't always want to just take the higher rate. You know, sometimes you want to take different loads for different reasons. Maybe they get you into a really good area that you always get good reloads out of. Maybe it's to go through Springfield for some reason. You know, maybe it's a stop by the house for a day or 2. There's a lot of reasons you would want to select a load. It's not always financially motivated. But the point is, you have freedom and flexibility to run your truck more the way you want. And it takes a lot of the mystery out of it. One of the things that was most difficult for me, especially when I was solo, is sitting at a receiver and having no idea where to go or what to do. Should I go get a washout? That washout's 20 miles away. Is that going the wrong direction? Should I go park? If I'm dropping in the middle of Dallas, do I drive 30 miles north of Dallas and then get parked and situated only to be sent 30 miles south of Dallas, which means I've just driven 90 miles, going the opposite direction because I didn't know which direction to go. It takes a lot of that mystery out of it, because usually you know where you're going and what you need to do before you get there, before you even leave a receiver. And I think that saves a lot of time and stress. So there's just a lot of benefits to it, and I think load choice is amazing. I've not really heard anyone complain about it, other than, like I said, I know a truck or 2 that just keeps getting burned because they just keep taking the highest rate. And you know, sometimes, okay, well, that one's $2.50 and these other ones are $1.60 a mile, so I'm taking a $2.50, but it gets you somewhere you don't want to go. Or all of a sudden they've got multiple stops in the middle of Los Angeles that they didn't pay attention to or look into details. So you really got to pay attention to loads. But I love it. It keeps us moving, and it keeps us moving the way that we want to move. And our quality of rest and sleep has increased. Our revenue has increased. Our miles per week has actually decreased, and we stay in the freight lanes that we want to run in. We stay in the Midwest and South and don't go too far northeast beyond PA. So we stay pretty much in that triangle that we want to run in. We don't go out west. We can avoid going out west in most cases. So great example, the other day we were down in Florida. It gave me 5 juice loads out of there for $1 a mile, heavy, refrigerated, or 1 dry load, and they were all the same amount of miles. $1 a mile to get out of Florida, which is what you have to do to get out of Florida sometimes. But one of them had 390 miles empty, and then the rest of it was dry, so I didn't have to deal with a reefer. Well, obviously I saved fuel on that load because I ran empty for almost 400 miles of it, and then ran dry the rest of the way. And it got me into Minneapolis, which then set me up for a great load out of the meat patch. The other 5 loads were going to New Jersey or Denver. I struggle with Denver, don't like it. New Jersey is just a pain in the butt to go to, but I do get good loads out of there. But anyway, I had the choice. I could, run empty up and take a dry load to Minneapolis, or I could take one of those juice loads. They all paid $1 a mile, but I chose one that was economic, was easier to run because I was light, and I didn't have to deal with a reefer. It just gives you that freedom and flexibility. So load choice, 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. Prime, you guys knocked it out of the park with that. I hope it can expand to more trucks. I think more lease trucks would do well to have that in their toolbox. And For those who want to know how to get on it, well, in a Prime Inc. video that they put out, I want to say like a month or two ago, they said talk to your fleet manager. It's not that easy. I literally got to the point where I signed all of my messages to Chris saying at the end of it, thanks a lot, Eric. By the way, I'm humbly waiting in line for load choice. Every message I sent dispatch, I made sure he knew, hey, I'm trying to get on that. And finally it did work out for me. But you know, it's not easy. You just got to be persistent and let them know continually you want to get on it, and eventually you'll get on it. So load choice with Prime Inc. for lease trucks, amazing, love it. It is, like I said, literally changed everything. So great system. Even without it, love driving for Prime. Like I said, if you guys are considering it, now is the time. Prime is hiring. It's a great company. The lease program with Success Leasing is amazing. I couldn't imagine driving anywhere else. I've been with Prime for almost 2 years. I've got some complaints, as everybody would have with any company. It's not perfect, nor is any other place, but I couldn't see myself driving anywhere else. Love it. So anyway, hope that helps you guys. That is the Prime Inc. Load Choice review. 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Be sure to check us out on driverlineup.com. Stay safe, make good decisions. As always, drive to thrive. Thanks, guys.